The Compass was a huge success when it was launched, and now this is the next big one for Jeep, the Meridian. This is the 7-seater and it's based off the Compass platform. Now, it comes at a good time because Ford has just exited the market and the Endeavour leaves space for a 7-seater SUV that can go up against the Toyota Fortuner, and Jeep are looking to take that space. Well, it's not only that, the 7-seater SUV space has hotted up, so there's a swath of 7-seater SUVs that the Meridian will have to take on. Can its strong Jeep credentials, its off-roading skills give it the edge? That's what we're going to find out. The Meridian is the India spec version of the South American Jeep Commander, and though it's based off the Compass platform and shares DNA, there's a lot that's different. For starters, the front is now more upright and the bonnet flatter with the muscular creases folding over to the sides. There are slimmer LED lamps that flank the trademark 7-slot grille, and the entire section is underlined with chrome. In fact, there's loads of chrome embellishment up front. You will find more under the air dam and a strip that connects both fog housings, which have moved lower and have become larger too. There's also a chunkier body-colored section that splits the grille and air dam, making the entire front look beefier. Around the side, the profile is similar to the Compass up to the B-pillar, except for the Meridian badge, the smart Y-spoke alloys, and the wheel arches that get black cladding. Beyond that, the rear doors are now larger and the area behind that has extended to accommodate the third row of seats. The D-pillar and roofline are blackened out to give it a floating look. The rear is quite different as well, with slimmer 4-element LED lamps and more chrome that runs across the tailgate, fanning out in a slimmer section under the tail lamps. The bumper is stronger as well, and there's a chrome bar that runs across it too. There's also a metallic look skid plate. The Meridian overall is a handsome looking SUV. Now, while we are at the rear, let's take a look at the boot space. Now, with the third row up, there is a reasonable amount of boot space. You can kind of get, I think, at least 2 strolleys in. You can even put this vertically. It does fit with the seats pushed all the way to the back. So, small amount of space with all 3 rows up. But of course, you can flip and fold those rows down to open up more space. And the simple part about it is that it is a powered tailgate, and at the simple press of a button, it's easily done. So you don't have to reach up high. However, you wouldn't really have to stretch even if it wasn't there, because the tailgate also has a memory setting, so you can set the height that it opens to. Now, let's step inside. There's a lot here from the Compass, like the door handles, the layout of the dash, the infotainment screen. So yeah, it is a very familiar interior. The only big difference is that this is two-tone in place of the all black. I mean, you have the AC vents and the chrome strip that runs right across it. The second layer is formed by the leather, the brown leather now, which is the big difference. And then of course you have the piano black, and again a chrome underlining at the bottom. The HVAC or AC controls are below that, and this is a multi-zone AC. You have perforated leather seats now, which means you have ventilated seats and you can operate them from the infotainment screen. So you have the functions for your ventilated seats over there. You have a 10.25-inch digital display. You have a 10.1-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which is the same of the Compass. It's crisp, it's sharp, the details are very nice, and it's easily visible to the eye. You have a wireless charging pad which sits right in front of the gear lever. You have a USB-C and USB ports up here in front. Besides the gear lever, you have the modes, which is the snow, sand and mud and auto, the different modes that you can drive in. And you also have the buttons for your 4-wheel drive low and your 4-wheel drive lock as well. As far as practicality goes, there's a reasonably sized glove box. There's cup holders in the middle. There's a slot to put your phone in over here. You have door pockets, but they are a bit shallow. However, you will get a small water bottle into them. I don't think a 1 liter would fit here. You have central console. There's a deep bin here in the central console. And of course, that dual pane panoramic sunroof, you have that too. The infotainment has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and there is a 360-degree camera too. There are also a host of safety features. Let's take a look at those and recap the highlights of the feature list. Now, getting into the third row in the Meridian is as simple as that. It's a one-touch tumble seat. It's really light and easy to use. The only problem is once you are in here, it is a bit tight on space. I mean, this is going to be best for smaller kids. There's very little space under the seat as well, so you can't really tuck your feet there. You're sitting very, very knees up. The seat is very low to the floor. And you know, I'm only 5'4" and I'm very bunched up in here. So taller people is a big no. I think this is best for kids. There are air vents at the rear, and it's an evaporator, which takes the heat from the car and converts it to liquid by changing it into vapor. For added convenience, there are cup holders on the side, and the seats have a recline function as well to make it a little more comfortable. Now, at launch, the Meridian will only have bench seats for the middle row, and it may offer captain seats at a later stage. But let's see how that space is. The door to the middle row opens really wide. It's almost 90 degrees, so getting in ingress is very easy. You can slide in. It's at hip height, so you don't have to step up. You have all the amenities that you need. You have the aircon vents, you have a USB port, you have a 12-volt charger as well over here. You have the pockets behind the front seats. You have an armrest and cup holders as well in case there's just two of you. But in case there's three, you will fit in because there's enough legroom for the third passenger. The console doesn't extend too far back. The cabin is just about as wide as the Compass is, so it's not the most spacious. It's not like a Fortuner or something like that, but you can get three in here. Now, the difference here is that you're sat much higher up, so visibility to the front is very good. You've got, the window area is right near your shoulder, so it feels very open and spacious and airy, especially with that panoramic sunroof as well on top. The seats themselves are also far more comfortable. There's good enough amount of legroom. It's about the same as the Compass. There is a good amount of headroom as well. The thing is, the middle row, it doesn't slide, so you can't really adjust space between the third row and the middle row. It's a fixed seat. Now, that's something that could have been better, but you do have a small amount of recline for the middle row over here to get more comfortable. The Meridian will be launched with just a 2-litre diesel engine to power it, with 170 HP and 350 Nm of torque. The Meridian's diesel mill will get various transmission options. There'll be a 6-speed manual with front-wheel drive. There'll also be a 9-speed torque converter automatic, which will be available in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions. I had the 9-speed all-wheel drive to test. Now, this is the same engine as the Compass. It's got the same power and torque figures, so does it feel very different? Well, not really. Small difference is that the Compass is a little quicker off the line and a little more responsive. This one builds up speed in a more linear, more leisurely manner. When you're in the city and you're, ambling around, it does pretty well. The automatic is really effortless driving in stop-start traffic, as long as you're gentle with the throttle. When you want that quick overtake and you dump your foot down, it does take a while to get going. Kickdowns and shift-ups both happen in a tranquil manner, and they take their time coming. In fact, the entire demeanor of the Meridian is aimed towards relaxed traveling. The Meridian is not a car you really want to hustle. What this is great for is for cruising. Down a highway, it feels solid, it feels planted, it cruises comfortably. So long-distance travel in the Meridian will be easy and comfortable. The dimensions of the Meridian are bigger than the Compass, of course, on all counts, but behind the wheel, it doesn't feel much larger. The first impression when you get behind the wheel, steering's nice and light and easy, so it feels pretty maneuverable. You don't feel the size of the car, it doesn't feel too large. And as you build up the pace, it gives you a nice secure feel too. Well, it was time to hop into the back seat for a bit and hand over the wheel to Hormuz. What's quite exceptional actually is ride quality. It just doesn't let you feel what's happening underneath the tires. It's got a very, very supple ride, and even as you pick up the pace, it stays flat and composed, so backseat passengers are going to be extremely comfortable. The Meridian has independent suspension and uses frequency selective dampers like the XUV 700 has, and it really does give it a very composed ride quality. It veers to the firmer side, but it keeps the passengers very comfortable, and I would say ride quality is one of its main strengths. After our road test, Jeep had set up a playground for the Meridian in its natural habitat to show us what a beast it could be off-road. The Meridian clambers over pretty much whatever I throw at it. Traction is good from the tires and power delivery is nice and linear, enabling a good throttle modulation. What is really surprising as a 7-seater are the off-road angles. Breakover, ramp, approach, whatever you think it will not be able to tackle, it does. Such is the prowess that even on this track made out to put it through its paces, I very rarely have to use follow. It's only in the loose sandy sections that I have to engage it. Interestingly, while others house the low ratio gear in the transfer case, multiplying the torque coming out of the gearbox, the Meridian's low ratio is built inside the gearbox itself. That means the first gear is in the box. So in normal driving, the Meridian actually starts in second, and gears 2 to 9 are used for your everyday run. First is only engaged for difficult conditions when follow is selected. The benefit with this system is that it creates a more efficient power flow. But coming back to the Meridian's abilities, I'm sure the modes work well, but I never needed to use them. I often had the wheels almost 5 feet off the ground, and for all the jostling that you see on the outside, I have to say within the cabin it was pretty calm. I was also in the back seat for a while Hormuz drove, and I was never uncomfortable, which is saying a lot. Body roll is well contained. Bathed through 16 inches of water as well, and with a crawl ratio of 20.42, rocky terrain is easily doable too. Well, after a day of throwing everything at the Meridian, this is what I felt. Performance, though adequate, could have been stronger since it is a larger car. However, it still does well as a highway cruiser. The third row, which is a talking point for the Meridian, is cramped and best only for kids. Now, where it shines is on ride quality, which is simply outstanding. And I have to say that overall it is extremely capable, especially off-road, and well suited to our conditions. Now, if Jeep price it right, they could have another winner on their hands.